the inside, Howard Moscrop of Brighton. Then Trevor Burton, the Yorkshireman, who was second in the UK Championships. Kevin Lidlow, a Northern Ireland international. Then Ahmed Hamada of Bahrain, who've made quite an impression and won in Belfast. Then Max Robertson, the fastest British athlete this year at 49.9 when he won the Southern title. Outside him is Paul Gautier, a former 3A's junior champion. Then Winston Spencer from the Navy and Southampton. And finally Keith Pascoe, Alan's younger brother. And the ones to look out for, Hamada and Robertson going in lanes 4 and 5.
Just 21, Max Robertson, and clearly #1 at the event in the United Kingdom this year. A real meandering history he's got. He was born in Weymouth. He lived his early years in Yeovil, went to college at Alsager in Cheshire, moved to live in Wigan, and runs for Wolverhampton and Bilston. So he's packed a lot into his 21 years. And alongside him here on the inside, Ahmed Hamada of Bahrain, who you may have seen recently winning in Belfast, and who has also been busy on the European circuit and turned in a couple of useful performances. A personal best, 49.43 seconds. The first 3 will qualify for tomorrow's final, plus the 2 fastest losers from the heats. So interesting to see how Robertson tilts against this very good 23-year-old Bahrainian on his inside. Robertson rounding into magnificent form and a very impressive winner against East Germany in the international at Birmingham a week ago. Robertson, the blonde-haired figure, all in white. Hamada on his inside in the red shorts, and the closest to him as they round the bend, with Robertson holding a very, very substantial lead. And surely once he's safely over this hurdle, can realise that he can ease off just a little. He looks so flowing and beautiful. His build is absolutely perfect for this event. He allows Hamada to come up and overtake him on the inside, with I think it's Burton closing for 3rd place inside them. But an easy run for Hamada, the winner, in 50.54, and Robertson really just eased his way through to a place in the final. So Hamada will take some watching by the best of the British qualifiers, but Max Robertson, surely, Adrian, again looking impressive.
Yes, he did. I was chatting to him. We walked around the track earlier today. The danger, of course, in the hurdles is that when you slack off, as he does now, they're in the white, number 18, is that you change your stride pattern, and that can lead to problems. He's looking around, though, and convinced that he's perfectly safe. Hamada's nice and relaxed. Burton looking around, he's nice and relaxed. Number 12 on the right there. We are getting some good runners together in this event after so long, Alan, and we sort of were one of the best countries in the world at 400-metre hurdles, but it's taken really until Max Robertson's come along this year to find somebody who looks to have the real potential to get down in the 48-second range.
Well, apart from all those famous names that we mentioned a little earlier, Max Robertson will also be looking to emulate the likes of Gary Oakes, former Olympic bronze medalist at this event. And it was Gary Oakes who was in action in the first of the heats, which we saw a little earlier in the day. Championship in 1981, the year after he'd taken that unexpected and very well-deserved on the day Olympic Games bronze medal in Moscow. Mark Holtham, who's also picked up a couple of medals, European Cup and Commonwealth, at 110 metres hurdles. This only his 4th attempt at the longer distance, and still trying to get the technique right. But nearest to the camera there, all in red, Amiki, the Nigerian, the favourite. So at least the better-known names as far as Britain are concerned have each other to pull on, and certainly Oakes has gone off very quickly indeed and has already overtaken Holtham. Amiki's made a rather slowish start, and Martin Briggs is within striking contact of him. But Amiki, all in red, moving up now. In the red shorts, it's Gary Oakes in the centre there, and on his outside, just falling back a little off the pace, but still a great fighter, as we saw a week ago at Birmingham, is Mark Holtham in lane 6. Amiki then on the shoulder of the 2 British runners on his outside, but still some way down on Gary Oakes, who has a comfortable lead. Remember, 3 to go through to the final, plus the 2 fastest losers. And Holtham's run a brave race again, and even has time to look over his shoulder as Oakes crosses the line, the winner. Amiki was 2nd, and Holtham was 3rd. So those through, definitely through. 50.23 the time for the winner, Gary Oakes.
His fitness, he's been troubled all season with a leg injury. It's going to be a very competitive heat too. Let's call up Alan Parry.
Steve Cram wearing number 1 to signify the fact that he is the reigning champion. Let's have the full lineup from Peter Matthews.
Charles Milner of Ireland is on the inside, then Steve Cram, then Jeff Kay, Eakin Billy, the European junior champion, then Stuart Payton, then Edwin Coet, the Olympic finalist, and Tony Morell.
So Coet, the 24-years-old Kenyan in the white top and the black shorts, who reached the Olympic Games final where he finished 6th and who's gone off very quickly, will obviously be Cram's chief opponent in this race, with the first 2 plus the 2 fastest losers to go through. Interesting too to see how Eakin Billy runs. He's had a lot of injury problems. He's really struggled to get back to anything like his 1984 form and some of the form he showed in the indoor season. There he is, Eakin Billy, wearing the green shorts, number 4. His target for the season, the World Student Games, and his target certainly for these championships, just to turn in a good performance and confirm that he's back to fitness. Number 19, the long striding figure, is Tony Morell, the 23-years-old from Middlesbrough. Here's the time at the bell for the leader, Edwin Coet.
53.05, so quite quick for a heat, with a slight wind against them as well in the home straight.
So, Adrian, a question really of how Steve Cram's calf injury is going to react.
Yes, he's run very cautiously, hasn't he, in the first part of the race. He's just not putting any extra pressure on it until he really has to, and he can afford to sit behind the leaders there all the way around. Poor Eakin Billy's struggling a bit now in 4th place. He doesn't really seem to have that bit of sparkle, does he?
Well, Steve Cram, who's due to run in a very big race in Nice next week, which you can see on Channel 4, running against Saïd Ewita amongst others, and also against Joachim Cruz, will be looking for a good run out here to confirm that that calf injury is behind him, and he's in the kind of shape to take on 2 such formidable athletes. And here he is, coming up to the shoulder of Coet, and just looking over his shoulder. 2 remember to go through to the final, so both Cram and Coet ease up as they come to the line, and they are definitely through, and a fine race and an easier looking victory for Cram. So just coming up to a lap to go then in this 800 metres, with the first 2 to qualify for the final. The leader is the American James Mays, and let's hear his time.
It's very fast, 52.62, and it has to be fast, of course, with these qualifying conditions.
Gareth Brown of Cardiff has moved up into 2nd place, and also in the field, and there he is now, just moving on the outside, all in blue, is the 24-years-old Brazilian, wearing number 2, Jose Luis Barbosa, on the left-hand side of the picture. Darrell Taylor of Sarah Harriers, who's just 20 on the extreme left. But as expected, it's James Mays of America, all in white, who leads. Barbosa of Brazil in 2nd place. And those 2 look to have the 2 definite qualifying spots wrapped up. Number 14, Richard Lynch, in 3rd place. He's 21 tomorrow, by the way. It'd be quite an achievement for him if he could hold on. But Mays and Barbosa well away from the others and can afford to do a little bit of looking over the shoulders at each other and at the rest. So as they approach the final lap then, in this 3rd heat of the men's 800 metres, the leader is John Gladwin of Belgrave.
The time there, 54.77, much the slowest of the 3 heats.
And in the sights of Gladwin at the moment is the American wearing the red vest and the blue shorts, Eugene Saunders. There he is, number 23. And on the inside, it's Gary Marlowe from Bracknell, with Belkacem, the Algerian, now coming up very quickly and slipping in behind Gladwin with a little under 200 metres to go, Adrian.
Yes, I think Gladwin's going to be overhauled. He's just beginning to tie up, and I think the Algerian might have a bit of speed. The lad from Bracknell's got himself trapped on the inside.
So too, indeed, has Saunders, the American, who will have to fight hard to come through now, but it's been a fine run, this. And Saunders eventually left his bid very, very late indeed, and left it too late. So Gladwin deserved that, because he took the race on positively right from the start.
So those are the finalists for the...
Bert Cameron of Jamaica, one of the all-time greats over 400 metres, the reigning world champion, and the man who, for me, produced one of the most memorable performances in the 1984 Olympic Games, even though he didn't even take his place in the final. You may remember in the semi-final, he pulled up with an injury, lost some 10 metres on the rest of the field, and yet started again and still got through to qualify, but the injury actually kept him out of the Olympic final. It was a staggering piece of running. He goes here, right in the centre, and on the inside, 19 years old Derek Redmond. We've seen quite a bit of him, particularly as a relay runner of late, and an interesting test for the 19-year-old to pitch himself against the world champion. Derek Redmond in his Birchfield colours, all in black, with the usual long white socks that he prefers. The full lineup: David Lake on the inside, Mark Thomas, Derek Redmond, Gary Cadogan, Bert Cameron, Brian Dickens, John Weston and Paul Herbert. Only the winner will qualify, and if that isn't Bert Cameron, then we have seen one of the major upsets. Cameron in the yellow vest, right in the centre, in lane 5. Cameron, a beautiful runner to watch. And Derek Redmond has got him in his sights and has clearly fixed him as the target. And has gone off quickly over the first 150 metres. But Cameron, of course, the man with the strength. That injury in 1984 totally disrupted his year, and it'll be interesting to see how well he goes in 1985. He'll want to regain the mantle of world's #1. Redmond's run a very good, though, 300 metres or so here, and has come up and overtaken Cameron. And Redmond, if he can stay strong here, could really have a very, very important scalp under his belt, and is going to do so. Cameron could still qualify as the fastest loser because it's been a very quick race. 45.79 for Derek Redmond, with Cameron in second place. And what a great run by Derek Redmond, and that will really lift his spirits no end, and the great man the first to shake his hand.
And that splendid result by Derek Redmond, his time 45.8, makes him one of 4 British runners to qualify for what will be a magnificent final at the 400 metres. Chris Akabusi ran even faster, 45.55. Both Roger Black and Alan Slack were close to their personal bests, and they'll be up against top-class opposition, the American champion Mark Rowe, Willie Caldwell, Darrell Robinson and the favourite. So we start off with the young Scot, Adrian Callan, Gary Couch, Carl Hick, William Horgan of Ireland, Greg Wilson-Wager of Kenya, who we've seen for so long, Marcus O'Sullivan of Ireland, who I think will be the favourite this year. Then Sean O'Neill of Ballymena, Alan Mottershead, the former UK champion from Stretford, David Ansell, Tim Redmond, Martin Warland and Gary Staines. So Marcus O'Sullivan the favourite, then we've got Alan Mottershead and William Wager as other likely qualifiers.
So O'Sullivan, number 37, the Republic of Ireland athlete, who has the second best mile time in the world this year, and who's a silver medalist in the European Indoor Championships in a personal best of 3 minutes 37.20 seconds. Obviously the man to watch. But clearly, with 3 to qualify for the final, one would expect, as they settle into their places in this opening lap, tactical races rather than quick races. David Ansell of Sheffield has gone into the lead in the yellow top and the blue shorts. Number 47 is Gary Staines, the Southern champion, a title he collected here at Crystal Palace about a month ago, when many people, of course, expected Steve Ovett to be the man to lift that title. Ovett, who came here on the Friday night and won his heat in magnificent style, but didn't take his place in the final. So David Ansell the leader then, number 47 Gary Staines second. Just coming wide on the outside is Warland, the young Norwegian runner in the field, and Wilson Wager, number 58, now in 4th place.
And the time for the first lap was 59.2, so quite a reasonable pace. Sometimes we see in these 3A's championships very pedestrian heats, but they've got to run fast in order to make sure they can get the fastest loser places, as well as those who qualify as of right.
Well, Adrian O'Sullivan in the field here, and indeed the Republic of Ireland well represented in these heats.
Yes, Marcus O'Sullivan's played a waiting game at the back there, number 37. He was 4 from the back at the end of the first lap, and he seems content to stay there. If anything, he's watching Wilson Wager, who's in 4th place in the red and green vest, and just keeping an eye on Wilson because he has the form. But Alan Mottershead's hidden in the pack there, but O'Sullivan's obviously now decided, Alan, to take it up at the end of 800. That is surprising, because he packs the best sprint.
So O'Sullivan possibly having seen 1 or 2 pretty big names fall today, including the man who you saw, Bert Cameron, the world champion over 400 metres, failing to make it, making sure that a similar fate does not befall him.
And the pace had slowed up a little bit before O'Sullivan took it up. 2 minutes 0.9 at 800 metres, so a 61-second lap.
So O'Sullivan, the leader. Gary Staines still, well, he's dropped back to third now with Wilson Waigwa of Kenya in fourth place, now 36 years old, Wilson Waigwa. Back in 1982, he won the 5,000 metres title in these championships. Adrian Callan, a Scotsman, third in the recent Scottish Championships, all in blue, number 5, moving through to second, though he's lost that position to Gary Staines. So it's O'Sullivan, Staines on the inside, Waigwa on the outside, and in the centre, Adrian Callan.
So the time shown there is at the bell, 2:45.5, just inside.
And really, Adrian, one would expect O'Sullivan to be able to handle anything the rest of them can throw at him in this final lap.
Yes, we would. I'm just intrigued to know why he actually did decide to take it from the front. But I suppose from there he feels he can control it. And any kind of a break that comes up on his shoulder, he can just keep tightening the screw, just increasing the pressure and making people run harder and wider around the bend.
Tim Redmond of commentary now, the only man who's been able to go with that burst of speed by O'Sullivan, who looks over his shoulder to see how close the pursuing pack are. Redmond number 41 there in the red top, but O'Sullivan has one assumed anyway at this stage, knows exactly what he's got to do here, and again a little flick and another burst of speed as he sees Mottershead pursuing him to the line. But O'Sullivan, well, again he faded as the line came in view, but he knew that with the first 3 to qualify, that was all he needed to do. So an easy enough qualification for the Irishman Marcus O'Sullivan.
It was impressive sort of grown-up running by Marcus O'Sullivan, who actually pressed over very close in that race in Belfast about 3 weeks ago. He's full of life and running. He's at college in America, and I think he enjoys getting back to European-type racing. But Alan Mottershead, who I was starting to talk about a minute or so ago, in the all-white strip nearest us, again had left himself an awful lot to do, but in a slowly run race, Alan Mottershead can finish very fast. In fact, the last lap there was just a little under 56 seconds, as they all desperately try and lean and qualify for the final.
Well, down at trackside, let's rejoin Jim Rosenthal.
Thanks very much, Alan. Well, from the 1,500 metres, now we turn to the 100 metres. Don't forget, the finals coming up later on this afternoon. You can find out now how they qualified in the semi-finals.
The lineup for the men's 100 metres semi-finals is of such high quality that all 3 races that constitute these semi-finals promise to be very competitive indeed. And in this first one, the favourite probably in lane 5, wearing number 2, they're all in black, Lincoln Asquith, the 21-years-old European junior champion. From the inside, it's Chacon of Cuba, Mackenzie, Donovan Reed in lane 3, Ernest Obeng, Lincoln Asquith, Buster Watson, Clarence Callender and Mark Towers. Obeng, as ever, always a quick starter, but Asquith was out well too. Watson trying to keep up with them in that centre lane, though. It's going to be Asquith from Obeng, with Watson and Reed vying for 3rd place, though only the first 2 go through to the final for sure. So Lincoln Asquith dominating the race, and Ernie Obeng for once kept his fine start going right through to the tape.
You could see the determination on their faces, the two of them. Obeng and Asquith were both really determined. And little Ernie Obeng right in the middle there, the blue vest, he can get a very fast striking rate, but Lincoln looks so confident of himself, he just handles him on the line, and Watson gets through for 3rd place.
Linford Christie, number 11, goes in lane 3 of these semi-finals of the 100 metres. The full lineup is Michael Williams, Vincent Jones, Linford Christie, Marty Crulley of the United States, all in red there. Chidi Imoh, the Nigerian, all in blue. Cameron Sharp, also all in blue, coming back to his best. Former Commonwealth Games bronze medalist. Gary Wilson, and nearest to the camera in lane 8, Roy Heron. So interesting to see whether Cameron Sharp in lane 6, who is threatening to reproduce his best form, can stay up with the Nigerian and Marty Crulley of America. And Sharp is more than up with them. In fact, he was almost leading for a second, but Imoh came through strongly. And on the inside, Linford Christie. But a fine finish by Chidi Imoh to bring him victory, and Cameron Sharp and Linford Christie both up there on the line.
Seemed to be a good start by everybody, really. Certainly lanes 3, 4, 5 and 6. The little American Crewley perhaps away well. And then, as you say, Cameron Sharp, who looks always so white in his blue vest, was handling Imoh. Linford Christie got into his stride here, but surprising he couldn't quite handle Imoh, but that stride is enormous by the Nigerian. So Christie comes second and Sharp third. And the wind about 1 metre per second against them.
So the third and final race for qualification for the final. Mike Powell of Shaftesbury Harriers on the inside, Andrew Carrott, Mike McFarlane. But here in lane 4, Darwin Cook of the United States of America is very much the favourite, currently the world's #1 at this event. On his outside is Elliot Bunny, the very fine Scottish junior, Fenton Campbell, Derek Brown and John King completing the lineup. The first two to qualify, plus the 2 fastest losers, and Cook in the middle, confirming his form as perhaps the overall favourite for the title, looking beautifully smooth, with McFarlane keeping very close to him and Bunny coming in third. Cook the winner then, and a fine piece of sprinting too.
And on the evidence here, that's McFarlane's best run outdoors this season. He's been doing an awful lot of heavy work, and he's not really got his speed back, but he latched onto Darwin Cook, number 33 there, McFarlane, and really held him all the way to the line, and he's going to give him a good run in the final. That was a first-class run by McFarlane.
Well, it's going to be a fascinating final tomorrow. Darwin Cook will perhaps be the favourite from the USA, but the British athletes all in great form, and Lincoln Asquith was the fastest in the semis, 10.41. He's joined by Linford Christie, Mike McFarlane, Buster Watson and Donovan Reid, with Ernie Obeng and Chidi Imoh. Should just mention that Cameron Sharp was disqualified in third place in his heat because he ran out of his lane. But a great final it's going to be today.
Right. Imoh of Nigeria in lane 3, Asquith in lane 4, Darwin Cook 5, Obeng is in 6, Linford Christie in lane 7, and obviously that troublesome muscle injury is going to hamper his form in this race, and Donovan Reid in lane 8. Knowledgeable crowd who fall absolutely silent for the start of this first track final, with the exception of the 3,000 metres walk in the 1985 Championships. I think it was Asquith in lane 4 who was responsible for the false start this time. And there's no more heart-rending moment, I think, than that. So Asquith's nerves jangled even more by that warning. And I can hear again Chidi Imoh of Nigeria being asked to maintain his position and keep in line with the other athletes. Very inexperienced, although he is studying in the United States of America at Missouri University, so he ought to know the drill well enough. On your marks. And for the third time, they're called to their blocks. Watson, right-hand side of the picture. Then it's McFarlane, Imoh, Asquith, Cook, Obeng, Christie, and Donovan Reid. Darwin Cook, the favourite in lane 5, arguably the best 100 metres man in the world at the moment. Set. Well, I think it was Asquith again, in which case the disqualification will come into effect.
No, it was a good jump, but I'm not sure it's going to approach that lead.
Thanks to John Herbert for perfect timing. Back to the 100 metres final, and this time they are cleanly away, and Cook, not inhibited by all those problems, has gone off very strongly, but Asquith on his inside coming through strongly too. It's going to be desperately close at the finish, and that is one, I think, for the photographers to try, for the officials to try and sort out, for both Cook and Ernest Obeng, who is convinced in any case that he will have got it. We're well up there, but that was a blanket finish, and certainly Obeng is convinced that he was the winner.
And I thought by the end of the race McFarlane had come through. Asquith certainly started with a terrific attack on Darwin Cook in the middle with the red shorts, but Obeng is running well as well. Look at McFarlane in lane 2 in the white, and then watch the tall Imoh with that awkward style try and come through. Cook begins to fade. At this point, McFarlane must have had a tiny edge on everybody, but Obeng's finishing very, very fast, nearest to the camera. And yes, it does look as if little Ernie gets it on the line, but there can't be more than 500ths of a second between about 5 of them there.
So Ernie Obeng has a much sharper eye, I have to say, than this particular commentator, because if he was as convinced as he obviously was, then who am I to argue with him as he goes on a lap of honour with Mike McFarlane. We'll confirm the result as soon as we can, of course. Back to you for the moment. And we'll be returning, of course, to Crystal Palace for plenty more action just after the break.